I'ma be real, it's tough being a Square Enix fan, and I use the term loosely because while people love a lot of the games that Square puts out, I think it's a pretty common opinion that as a publisher, they kinda suck. Sometimes they get things right, like ungatchifying their dead or dying gacha games and making them into full standalone titles. Yay! Sometimes they get things wrong by announcing projects too early and going silent for years, and sometimes they get things really wrong by not giving their ports and remasters the love and care they deserve. This isn't necessarily about the Switch 2 versions of Final Fantasy X, X-2, and Octopath 1 and 2, though I do think charging full price for what I personally consider to be negligible changes from the Switch 1 versions and giving no upgrade path is completely absurd and disrespectful to customers. Sorry, that took a lot of breath. Final Fantasy X is 25 years old, and while it has more visual clarity, the remaster takes a hit to artistic direction, especially with the faces and the facial expressions. And that is my segue into the main topic of this YAP session. Square Enix has a port problem. Square Enix has a remaster problem. I'm coming at this from the perspective of a Final Fantasy Kingdom Hearts fan, but I feel like if this is affecting such major IPs, it's probably safe to assume that other properties are also affected. I don't know the direct cause, obviously. I don't work at Square, but as a consumer, it does concern me when I feel like double dipping on Life is Strange, for instance. I hop on Steam, it suggests me the remaster, and the remaster looks... I don't want to sound rude, but it looks a little freaky. Granted, we do still have the option to buy the original, which is more than I can say for some games. You can't buy OG FF10 on modern hardware, and that's been the case for a while, and that in and of itself is fine. I'm gonna say it's fine, because theoretically, we have a means of accessing the core experience with updated software, the remaster. And there's plenty of quality of life the remaster adds, but in exchange for that, we lose key parts of the artistic direction. We have finer lines and more polygons, but lose a lot of nuance and facial expressions, and this is an emotional tale, so that's kinda critical. I'm gonna discredit myself a little here and be transparent. I have not played 10 for myself in its entirety yet, but after watching a few side-by-sides, yeah, I'm not sure what they were thinking with this one. I don't think this is a radical take when I say a remaster should not detract from its original in any capacity. What's weirder is we've seen Square has the ability to do exactly what a remaster calls for. I'm not going to use the FF Pixel remasters as a comparison point because those games just have so many damn versions already and I'd get lost in the sauce. I am actually going to point to Tactics. The Ivalice Chronicles specifically. Yes, it is technically a remake, but it does effectively deliver a remastered experience of the original game while preserving visual style, though some may complain about its smoother look. It's ultimately not detracting from the impact of the story, in my opinion, and honestly, who knows, maybe if this were a fully 3D game with detailed facial models, they would have totally botched it, but let's be real, these are professionals. They can absolutely give a game a fresh coat of paint that's as beautiful as it was 25, 30 years ago with enough time and resources. And again, I don't work at Square, my degree is not in business, and I'm speaking 100% from a consumer point of view. But I really think some things, or a lot of things, with regards to ports and remasters are thrown onto this track of getting as much done in as little time as possible, but sacrificing quality in order to meet those goals. If you make a good product, people will buy that product, enjoy the product, tell other people to check out your product, and look forward to your next product. But if you release a problem-ridden product, the people who buy it might talk down about it or not mention it at all, and they'll be wary of your next release. I haven't played a lot of Square titles on multiple platforms because, like, what am I made of money? But we've all seen it. day one patch because there's a frame rate issue on the Switch, memory leaks on PC. There's been exactly one build update to the infamously crash-prone Final Fantasy XIII-2 since it released on Steam, and it changed absolutely nothing. Like, literally, it was just a manifest ID change. Type 0 HD's color palette is washed out by its flashbang of a lighting system. Most Kingdom Hearts fans are experiencing 358 over 2 days as a cutscene compilation, and there is currently no way to play Union Cross at all. And these kinds of problems, obviously, they're not exclusive to Square. The gaming industry at large is a whole rabbit hole. But I do think it says something that this is what people have come to expect out of Square. I'm grateful to have the ports and remasters they give us, of course, and generally they're perfectly playable, with some exceptions, but I wish they were better executed. At minimum, I think that any port or remaster of a game deserves to have the time and effort put into it to retain or enhance everything that made the original great. So when I see Square dropping FF10 Remaster and Octopath for Switch 2 when they arguably don't even really need to exist, and then charging full price with no upgrade path, I feel a bit offended on behalf of people whose primary system is Switch. I think it eats away at what little goodwill Square has built up with its customer base. Capcom gets brought up a lot as a comparison, and I think that's fair. Capcom says, hey guys, we're remastering Resident Evil 4. People go, hell yeah, I love RE4. Game releases, looks and feels great, stellar reviews. Capcom says, hey guys, we're remaking Resident Evil 4. People go, hell yeah, I love RE4. Game releases, it looks and feels great, stellar reviews. There's rapport there, there's trust. And Square Enix is lacking that. Square Enix says, hey guys, we're remastering FF10. People go, hell yeah, I love FF10, but why do they look like that? Square Enix says, hey guys, our exclusivity contract with Sony ended, so we're porting FF16. People go, about damn time. Game releases, Steam reviews are full of users with recommended specs or higher, going, hey, after I close the map, my game dips to 20 FPS and I have to reload it. Granted, Square did bother to push a few patches in the months following release, but some glaring problems are still there. Square says, hi, we're doing a remaster, and any excitement that's ignited by that is accompanied by worry. I'm not saying that's the case with everything Square ports or remasters, but their problems are frequent and significant enough that it's become their reputation, and that's pretty bad. I want to have confidence in the company that makes my favorite games, but I can't. I trust Team Asano. I trust Hamaguchi's team. They've been doing fine work with the 7 remake. I haven't played 14, but it looks amazing, and clearly the team knows what they're doing to have such massive success. But Square Enix, shareholders, the president, whoever's calling the shots, especially with regards to how accessibility to the games works, I can't trust that. And as much as I want to get my grubby little paws on Final Fantasy XIII, The Lightning Saga remastered for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, S, W, whatever, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC before January 2028, I have my worries about how something like that would turn out. And yeah, I'll shut up now, and I'll hope? I'll keep hoping Square earns my trust someday. Ciao.